Now, sometimes with high rollers, casinos will give you back some of your losses.
It's called a discount.
A discount. So they gave you one at that point.
They didn't give me one. I had to get it because you usually, when you're gambling, you have to set it up prior. They have to know that you're going to be asking for that discount before they just give it to you. So I don't like to do that because I'm superstitious, because if I do that in the beginning, it's almost as if I'm telling them I'm not going to win this trip. I don't want that negative energy, so I don't say anything. I try to do it at the end. It's usually very difficult to get, but I was able to get 10% instead of 20%.
Okay. So you lost $2.5 million.
Then I walked around. Wait, it wasn't like they just gave me the $250. No, I had to make calls. I had to leave, walk around. It took like maybe a day, like a full day to get the $250. And they didn't want to give it to me.
Right.
In fact, not only did they not want to give it to me, when they gave it to me, they gave it to me in a check. I think it was $250, around $250. Mm-hmm. When they gave it to me, they gave me it in a check. And they expected me to leave because one of the rules with a discount, you can't play it because they don't want you to have a shot at winning that money back again.
Okay.
And it happens. So they expect you to leave. So they said, here, you're leaving, right? Oh, yeah, I'm leaving. You're leaving, right? You can't play this. Yeah. They gave me the check. I waited till like 2, 3 in the morning.
He came back.
And got the check and said, hey, give me some chips. And I started playing. I wasn't supposed to do that. I did it because I'm thinking, I got to win this money back. I just blew $2.5 million to this guys. I don't know what the story is. I should try to get as much back as I can. I sat at the table. I was up to like $550. I figured if I get to $1 million, I got a chance to win it because I've been there before. And that's when I came out of the room, taking a break, Owen and the other guy were there at this restaurant right by the doors where I exited the high limit room. Mm-hmm. And they called me over, and that's when I sat down. And they're like, what happened? And I told the story.
Right. Now, they don't know about the 500.
They don't know about the it was 550. They didn't
550.
But
they do know about the $2.5 million that
yeah,
you
they
lost.
knew that. Well, they didn't even know that I told them about it. They're like, why didn't you answer the phone? What? He says that I was calling him.
I tell him, I said, we're going to go get a hotel room. My trainer and I, you're going to meet us at this hotel room with the $300,000 in your passport, and we're going to figure this out. But I'm a little paranoid because the guy's he's been to my apartment because I gave him money there the first time around. So now I'm a little paranoid because he knows where I live. So I'm like, okay, what do we do? Like, should we meet him at my apartment or should we meet him at the hotel? So I said, you know what, fuck it. We get the hotel room, Hilton Hotel on George Street. We call him. We say, hey, we're at room 3026 George Street, Hilton. I said, meet us there with the $300,000 in your passport. 4 hours goes by and nothing. We're like, I'm with my personal trainer. I said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go back to my studio apartment. We start drinking wine. We're like, I'm stressing. I'm popping Xanax. I'm feared for my life right now. And finally, he calls and he says, I'm on my way. I'm like, okay, good. So I tell my trainer, I said, I'm going to put together a suitcase. It's $700,000. I said, he's going to bring you 300. That'll be an even $1 million. And take that $1 million when you're done with the transaction and take the $1 million to your place. This is my trainer.
And I called him and he was working out and say I blew the money. No, I literally blew the money. I was trying to win it back and he showed up. And I said, dude, I got to tell you, the money's gone. What do you mean the money's gone? And that's when the other guy, Sean Carolyn, said, I need documentation. And I had to go back in the casino, get a piece of paper that shows, win-loss. Mm-hmm. I showed him. He grabbed it out of my hand, and I pulled it back from him. And he said, looked at me, he goes, I'll fucking slit your throat, right? Don't you? And I'll slit your wife's throat. Don't you ever do that again. I need to know this is real. So then he made some calls or did something, and that's when the scheme came. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to move in with me at the hotel down the street. I'm going to tell you when and where, and we're going to give you more money, and you're going to just deposit it, and then you're going to get a check. And as they're telling me this, I'm looking at them both, and I'm thinking, okay, nobody knows I'm here. But there's cameras all over the place. And as he's threatening me what he's going to slit my throat, I'd look at him and I said, hey, buddy, there's 1,000 cameras up all over the place. You're going to threaten me here? You think I'm afraid of your threats? And he says, why don't you look up, mate? I went, what? He goes, look up. And I looked up, and there's no cameras in this restaurant. He goes, there's no cameras here, mate. That's why we picked this restaurant. I'm like, oh, fuck. So now I'm thinking, I gotta document this. So the only way to document it is to order something, charge it to my room, so if something happens to me, they know that I was in this restaurant. So I said, hey, you want some champagne or something? I ordered a bottle. They brought it. I signed it to my room. Don't forget, I had a room at the Four Seasons and a suite at the Star. I signed it to my room. So now I'm thinking, okay, who do I hit over the head with the bottle first and then stab the other one with the glass? Just like the movie. That's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to do. And then they kind of, when I said to them, I'm not giving you the passport because it's back at the hotel.
Right. They asked for your passport.
Oh, no, they wanted the passport right then and there.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't have it. Now, usually people carry their passports when they're in a casino, but mine was back at the Four Seasons. And I said, I don't have it. It's back at the Four Seasons. Well, you got an hour. We want your passport. You're going to meet us at this room. We're going to call you. We're going to tell you. I said, okay. But there's a problem, my friend. I have a reporter from Fox News. That's the first time they heard of the Fox News reporter. So I said I needed 3 hours. That gave me the extra time to find Rick Leventhal because he was either with a hooker or, I'm just being honest, or he was blowing money at the tables.
Right.
So I found him about an hour after I got rid of these guys. And then I had 2 hours to get out of the Star Casino and the Four Seasons Casino. He had his stuff at the Star. I had my stuff at the Four Seasons. So we finally got a car, got in it. The whole time, Rick Leventhal kept saying, I'm down 20 grand. I go, dude, here's 20 grand. Shut up. Just shut up. Stop. We got down to the airport. We tried to get on a flight. There was no flights back to LA. So there was a hotel nearby. And I said, Rick, just go get a hotel room. I'll give you the money. So I had some cash on me as well as the check that I had, because I got a check for the money that I had won back.
Well, right. But didn't, when you separated from them,
Yeah.
you called the hotel and said,
I forgot that part.
There's a gun in the room?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So right before, thanks for reminding me, right before I was ready to leave Rick, we had a taxi out front that was going to take us. And in Australia, all the taxis have cameras like throughout, so it's a very safe taxi. This is, back 15 almost years ago, 14, 15 years ago. So you don't have to worry about something happening in a taxi because there's a camera there. So right before I was ready to leave the room, I called Owen's phone, which at the time was Junior DeLuca, and said, hey, I got a tail. I need some more time. He goes, okay, hurry up and get there. I said, okay. So after he told me he knew everybody there, customs, the hotel, both hotels, I figured he's going to be waiting for me to come out. I can't just jump in a car and try to exit and not go to where he's telling me to go. So that's when I called the Hilton, which is where he, when they called me, they said, meet us at room, whatever the number was. I said, okay, fine. I wrote it down. I then called right before we were ready to leave. Rick had all of his bags together, and I called security and said, there's a man with a gun in room such and such. Then I called the Star Casino and said, hey, I was just threatened at room at the casino, whatever the restaurant's name was. Can you get me that footage? I said, here's what the guys look like. So I called the Star as well. Gave all the information so they could go back on the Iron Sky and get all the stuff. That's what I think alerted the security at the Star to call the police and also the Hilton to call the police. I think they called them separately, and the police came to the plane the very next day when I was going on with Rick, and the police went to the hotel and found a 700 and 2,000. 700 and 2,000. I didn't know it was 2,000 more for like a year or two. 702. He did that on purpose so he could say it was my money.